Sterling dropped 25% against the dollar in 18 months. Every import Britain buys got more expensive overnight. That is the silent tax nobody named. Here is the receipt nobody is reading. Oil, gas, metals, semiconductors, all priced in dollars. When the Fed moves in Washington, UK prices move. 3 layers to this: how the dollar got this grip, why it costs more than most people think, and who actually benefits when Britain pays more. Stay till the end. The third one changes how you think about all of this. To understand why this works, you need one date: 1944, Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. 44 nations, one deal. Peg the world to the US dollar and peg the dollar to gold. The US held approximately 2/3 of the world's monetary gold at the time, according to Federal Reserve historical records. So the dollar became the world's money. Bretton Woods collapsed in 1971 when Nixon ended gold convertibility. The dollar's grip did not. Here's what dollar dominance looks like in hard numbers. The IMF COEFR database, Q4 2023, shows the dollar is 58.4% of all global foreign exchange reserves held by central banks, including the Bank of England. The euro sits second at 20%. Sterling, 4.8%. Every central bank on earth is hoarding dollar insurance. That structural, permanent demand for the dollar is exactly what gives the US its pricing grip over British imports.
It gets wilder in the currency markets. The Bank for International Settlements Triennial Survey 2022 found the dollar is one side of 88% of all foreign exchange transactions globally. Not 88% of dollar trades, 88% of all currency trades. Every time the pound buys something internationally, the deal almost certainly routes through dollars first. Pounds do not swap directly for yen or Korean won. Pounds go to dollars, then wherever. That routing costs Britain money every single trading day. Think about what that means in practice. Britain imports roughly half its food, according to DEFRA 2023 figures. The UK imports roughly 60% of its natural gas per the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero. Almost every commodity underpinning those imports, wheat, crude oil, gas, copper, is priced internationally in dollars. So when sterling falls against the dollar, Britain's import bill rises in pound terms. You did not change your habits, the dollar moved. Here is the number that should make you stop. UK inflation peaked at 11.1% in October 2022, the highest in 41 years, according to ONS CPI data. Over the same window, the pound hit a record low of 1.03 against the dollar in September 2022. Not a coincidence. That is the transmission mechanism working exactly as described, dollar strength arriving in British supermarkets as price tags.
But here's what most people get wrong. They think this is just exchange rates wobbling. It is not. Dollar dominance hits UK savings through 3 separate channels simultaneously. 1. Commodity pricing locked in dollars. 2. Fed rate hikes strengthen the dollar and weaken sterling directly. 3. UK companies that borrow in dollar markets face higher costs when dollar rates rise. 3 separate channels, same mechanism, all reaching into British household finances at once. Here is the play-by-play from the last cycle. The Federal Reserve raised rates 11 times between March 2022 and July 2023, from near zero to over 5% per the Federal Reserve's own rate history. Each hike made the dollar more attractive to hold globally. Dollar demand rose, sterling fell, UK inflation climbed. The Bank of England then had no choice but to raise its own rates 14 consecutive times to try to catch up. Fed hikes, pound falls, UK prices rise. Bank of England reacts. Same chain every time. The Bank of England did not hide this. Their monetary policy reports throughout 2022 and 2023 repeatedly flagged external price pressures, central bank language for "the dollar is making our job harder." ONS Import Price Index data shows goods import prices rose over 20% in the year to Q2 2022. That is the dollar tax arriving in British warehouses before a single item hit a checkout. The damage was already done by the time anyone noticed at the till.
This is not a fringe view. In August 2019, Mark Carney, then governor of the Bank of England, stood at the Jackson Hole Symposium and told the room the dollar's dominance was becoming a structural problem for global economic stability. He proposed replacing it with a synthetic international currency. The man running the UK's central bank was saying out loud, "This system is costing countries like ours." Here is the asymmetry that makes this structurally unfair. When the dollar strengthens, US imports it cheaper for Americans, so US inflation falls when the dollar is strong. Meanwhile, UK inflation rises from that exact same dollar strength. The same Fed decision that helps American consumers hurts British ones. Two countries, same mechanism, opposite outcomes. That is the built-in advantage of being the reserve currency issuer rather than a user of it. Economists name this the dominant currency paradigm. Gopinath and co-authors, writing in the American Economic Review in 2020, found that when the dollar strengthens, import prices rise in non-dollar economies, even when the trade has nothing to do with the US. Britain imports from Germany, priced in dollars. Germany imports from Japan, priced in dollars. The dollar is the hidden middleman in trades it never touches. Britain pays a fee to a currency it does not control.
So here is the practical picture for understanding what this does to sterling-denominated savings. Three things quietly erode British wealth every time the dollar strengthens. First, real purchasing power falls on anything imported, from petrol to electronics. Second, the Bank of England raises rates in response, which pushes up mortgage costs and squeezes business lending. Third, UK pension funds holding gilts face pressure as the Bank of England tightens monetary policy to defend the currency. This is not abstract, it is the mechanism behind every serious bout of UK inflation since 2021. Look at the long-run picture. In 1971, when Bretton Woods unwound, £1 bought around $2.40, Bank of England historical exchange rate data. By September 2022, £1 bought $1.03. That is not just normal volatility, that is a structural, decades-long shift in sterling's relative value, compounding with every cycle. Each generation of UK savers starts the race a step further back, partly because the dollar system rewards the issuer and quietly taxes everyone else.
And the cycle just keeps repeating. Dollar strengthens, sterling weakens, UK imports costs more in pounds, UK inflation rises, Bank of England raises rates, UK borrowing gets more expensive, growth slows. Eventually, the Fed cuts, dollar softens, sterling recovers a bit, but by then, UK savers have already absorbed the inflation tax. The recovery is always slower than the damage. That gap between how fast a cost arrives and how slow the relief comes, that is the lived experience of earning pounds in a dollar world. So here is the reframe. Sterling dropped 25% against the dollar in 18 months. That was not bad luck. It was not purely Brexit. It was the dollar system doing exactly what it was designed to do: reward the issuer, tax everyone else. The US gets structurally cheaper imports and lower borrowing costs as a permanent feature of issuing the reserve currency. Britain pays a recurring, invisible subscription to that system every time it fills a car, buys a phone, or imports a kilowatt of gas. Nobody sent a bill, but the charge went through. If this landed, the video on how Bank of England rate decisions ripple through everyday savings goes deeper on the domestic side of this story. Link is on screen. Subscribe if you want the next one in your feed.